Hi. Next few minutes I'm going to show you some features on the new 9 or version 9 of my telemetry tool. There are some, not that many big new features, but some interesting features that I've been adding to the tool. One thing which is quite interesting is I've added in the normal telemetry side, I added the suspension move, so suspension, acceleration, position, and velocity. So if you are a little bit thinking if you are bottoming out at some areas or something, and this might help you to see also how to adjust the all the suspension and the car ride height and everything on that side. So it's a quite nice thing to have there on this part as well. Another thing on the actual graph side, I added here mini sectors. So actually, this is a new setting. In the old way, you'd have the distance, so there will be a line every 200 meters. So this is the old way how it looked. But now, as the Formula One games are now showing you, giving you the kind of different zones for the flags. So I'm actually using them, so you can see the different zones shown with the lines here, so it makes it a little bit easier. Like you can sort of try to see which, like how you're doing in which turns. So this makes it a little bit easier to sort of pinpoint the areas where you're driving when you don't have to look at the map. It's more like using the mini sectors. Another thing I've actually now done with the tool is that I've added some more indications for the flags. So here you can see this is an online race where there's yellow flags, people are hitting each other, and you can see which cars are getting the yellow flags, which cars are getting the green flags, and this way sort of it makes more visual on which flags are on which areas of the track and everything. So this is quite nice, more visual way of seeing the flags at that point. Other thing is that what I've added is now is into the race info. You can see this is in the version 9 is that there's more information about your fuel usage, and you can see there's the average fuel usage, which means that how much fuel you're using per lap in general. And the second one is this how much what's your average fuel usage on the current fuel mix. So it's actually quite handy, so you can sort of start optimizing and seeing early that how much fuel you're using and what's your the sort of situation, and how much you are using fuel on different fuel mixes. And then based on the and this is a different thing here on the I have the fuel left per lap, but this is actually using the average fuel use on normal racing. But on the last lap, this one actually uses the average of the fuel mix so that you can really optimize your fuel. That in the end you don't have extra fuel in your tank. Actually, you can see they sort of try to optimize it using different fuel mix modes, and that's quite interesting thing which I've added. I also added here. I removed the old graphs which had the sort of lap time and the sector times, and now this will in the end will be showing your lap times how they're comparing to the car in front and car behind you. And here you can see the leader, how much you are behind the leader, and then the car in front and how car behind, what's the delta to them. And then you can also see which tire or compound they are using and how many laps they've driven with that tire. So it's actually when you have a longer races. This is a 5 lap race, so it doesn't. There's no point of looking at that how long they've used that. But if you are using a longer race, then it's quite handy to see how many laps people in behind and people in front, and also the leader how long they're driven with that current compound they are using. And that's most like the key biggest new things on the tool. There's lots of adjustments and modifications and memory optimizations that I've done for the version 9. One thing that I've added is the XY plotter, which is quite handy tool to look at the data in more detail. It might be that so yeah you can choose for the x-axis. You can choose almost any value that the game is giving out. So here you can see I'm just put lap distance, but you can just take the latitudinal forces, and then you can see longitudinal. Uh, there's lots of things you can do with this data. You can just have dots all over the place, see how the car things are evolving. It might be data coordinates, ERS mode. Let's say that is quite an interesting thing is that if you take your lap distance and then you take your ERS gain, so you can actually learn quite a lot where you're learning and where you're spending the ERS and where you're gaining it. So this is quite handy tool, and then you can have the colors based on brake. Are you gaining? It's like you can see that you are sort of gaining more ERS when you're braking and everything. Yeah, but this is quite handy, and you can just play around with that. This works with live lap as well. If you have a really long track like the on project cars where you have the Nürburgring combined, then it might be a little bit slow. So I wouldn't be using it on a live lap unless you are using it with a normal shorter tracks. But I think these are the key biggest new changes for the tool. So I hope you enjoy the tool. Thanks. Bye.